Hey, we're live here with the HBCU Stroll. And yes, I got to start it out with my alma mater, TSU, TSU, TSU. We love you. Texas Southern basketball finished eighth in the conference only because they had injuries. And Coach Johnny Jones, I wanna give you a thumbs up over there at Texas Southern down there in Houston, Texas, one of the winningest basketball programs in the country. That's right, in the country. It's a HBCU. He started with coming in eighth place, played the number one seed, Alcorn State, knocked them off. Came, played Southern, knocked them off. Championship, going to the big dance. My hat go off to my alma mater, Texas Southern, Texas Southern, Texas Southern. Man, today's show, one of my old friends, uh, a guy that kind of helped him start to get in this business. The things he have accomplished is off the chart. I just was going back and looking what was the last coach, especially African American coach, that was a head coach for over 15 years. The only one I could remember in the last, I want to say the last 40 years, is Eddie Robinson. Oh, and then Pete Richardson, and then the next is my guest coming on today. Started the business with us at Tennessee State, won two championships. Went with us at Alabama State, won two championships. He went on to Morehouse College, took him to the playoffs, done some great things. He had been the head coach there for 15 years. 15 years. We call that a dinosaur in coaching. Nevertheless, my friend, Mr. Richard Freeman. What's going on, coach?
My brother, Johnnie Cole. How are
That's
you,
right.
man?
Man, let me tell you something, man. I'm doing wonderful. My health is good. Uh, I've got this show. I got an opportunity to really tell it like it is on the HBCU level. I get the chance to tell the real things, and they can't do nothing to me no more. I'm out to business, but of course, of course, I'm sawing away, and I'm gonna be on somebody's sideline before it's all over. But
Right.
this day is about you, man. I know you just resigned from Morehouse, health reasons. You've been there a long time. You've done the inedible of staying at one place for that long. Man, coach, you don't have nothing to hang your head on. I think you're a great guy, great family man, God-fearing man, beautiful children. I can't say enough. How you been doing today?
Well, I'm doing well. And now I didn't resign for health reasons. I'm good. It
Yeah.
just came that time. And it was mutual between myself and the college, and it was just time for different direction.
Yeah, I gotta let them know that it was Morehouse College right there in Atlanta in the AU Center. Of course, it's an academic school. Uh, as a coach sitting on the sideline, I'm saying because you played great football all your years there, man, was it tough to get? Because you got to get academic students to go to Morehouse.
Yeah, you try to target kids that have somewhere north of a 3.3 GPA, and we still, even now, we are still attracting the kids with high test scores, and definitely want to look somewhere north of 1,200 on the ACT and 21 on the SAT. So yeah, your pool of guys that you're going after is the same pool with the Ivies and your Vanderbilts and your Dukes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Now I know you've had some great students. Have some of the kids that you've coached through there went on to the pros? I know you have maybe one or two.
Yeah, we had a couple. We had a guy named Ramon Harwood. He's a 6'8" offensive tackle. He got drafted in the,
Yeah,
I want to say, the fourth round, and played for the Baltimore Ravens, won the Super Bowl. Then we had Shabu Ananobi. He was a free agent, but he was a six-year journeyman and played for about five different teams. So we're very very proud to have had a couple of guys to go and represent.
yeah. And coach, kind of your background, played at Tennessee State, great linebacker with the chicken legs. I can remember you as a young coach, and you know, if you were coming out now coaching, and what were you a 5-star, 4-star, or you just went to
No,
Tennessee State?
no, I was a late bloomer. We had a connection. Cram High School, which was the former Murphy High School in Atlanta, Georgia, which was being skippered by William Lester for many years, and he had a pretty good relationship with John Merritt, with the late Joe Gillum, and it was pretty much a pipeline. He coached Richard Dent, sent Richard Dent to
Mm,
Tennessee State, and I was a late bloomer. I didn't start until my senior year of high school, and I went from
mhm.
180 pounds, 175 pounds as a junior, to 220 pounds as a senior. It happened in one summer, and because of the connections that my head coach had from Crim, I ended up, at Tennessee State. And so, no, I wasn't a highly recruited guy, but I was just happy to get that opportunity.
How you feel about that as a coach in this day's time? Do you think that people put too much emphasis on that? Because when you look at Alabama, uh, uh, it, they be getting kids, and you be like, well, where did that kid come from? You know, how do you feel about that as a head coach?
Well, I think you have to do your due diligence with everything. You have to tap into every source you can tap into to try to get the best fit for your program. I think it's something to seeing stars and all that, seeing who's ranked who and evaluating who, but then you got to do your own homework as well. I think you got to go old school and establish relationships with coaches, establish relationships with families, find out what you can about the kid yourself, and see if it'd be the right fit for your program, rather than to just put all your eggs into just going to these 7-on-7s and going into these clinics and all that, and just
Hmm.
catching a
Hmm.
kid that's been labeled as a 4 or 5 star player. You got to do your homework.
Yeah, yeah. I know at Tennessee State when we were together, and at Lane, man, we got some ball players there. And I always say when I hear people talk about recruiting, man, it's players everywhere. And I guess now with the portal, kind of let's talk about that. You came in on the not the end of the portal, but the beginning, at least what, 1 or 2 years maybe. How you feel? Have that helped
Right.
college football or hurt college football?
I think, and you taught me this years ago. I learned about recruiting from you. You may not remember this, but you told me that recruiting is strictly follow up. I don't know if you remember telling me
Right.
that, but that's how we were taught. And you know, I think it could be like a chasing of one's tail. When you look at this transfer portal, sometimes it can be too much, Coach Cole, to follow up on. I mean, what do you
Hmm.
follow? So I think a lot of times we forget who we are, and we lose sight of the type of kid that we're going after because of this vast transfer portal. I think it's good. It gives a kid um, hope. Now he doesn't have to be imprisoned in a bad situation, but at the same time, if he thinks that the transfer portal is going to solve all of his problems in terms of making him go to another school, and him or her go to another school and find an optimal situation, then they're missing the boat. And I
Hmm.
think from just a head coach's perspective, we have to be careful to not maintain our sense of loyalty to what has been loyal to us the whole time, which is the fertile recruiting grounds where we've established relationships with.
Right.
I wouldn't dare turn my back on some of the areas and some of the high school coaches that have been good to me through the years, just because the transfer portal is wide open. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. What I would try to do is catch that kid that wouldn't normally entertain me because he's being overlooked by the transfer portal. That was going to be our philosophy moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I tell you, the transport portal really all they done was cut down some of the rule violations of speaking to a kid before, or you got to get a transfer piece of paper and all that kind of stuff. Uh, I think the thing of it hurts the team because now you can't establish no continuity because you might get a kid that wasn't highly recruited at quarterback, and I think the levels, D1, one double A, Division two, and then you get a kid wasn't highly recruited, all of a sudden he become an All-American, and then next thing you know, the kid is walking out your program. So I think
It,
it
it,
hurts you in that way.
it does. And I agree 100%. It takes the anxiety level away from the athlete, like you said, of having that proverbial door that you have to go past to get that head coach to allow you to be recruited. It's just like playing the lottery. I
Right.
look up and the Powerball is $500 million. When I buy that ticket, right when I get the ticket in my hand, I feel good about it. But if I'm thinking that I'm gonna win that lottery and I'm gonna pay my mortgage with the money that I win from that lottery, then that's fool's gold. That's a
Right.
false sense of security.
Right.
So it relieves the kid of that, but then it opens a whole nother Pandora's box for that athlete. And I
Right.
just think it's bad for colleges that's losing players. I think it's good for the kid only with how he conducts himself with the coach on his way out.
Yeah, I kind of look at it as it's good for the kid who has talent. What about all the other kids that you go, hey, I need your playbook? It's almost like the pro level. And now here's this kid that maybe didn't develop the way you want him to, or you got to prepare room for somebody, and then you go
Right.
snatch this kid's scholarship. I think that's terrible. I think it maybe need to be some restrictions that a school only can get so many kids
Right.
from the portal. Because right now I think it's just out of control. Because it also, coach, and you've been a head coach for 15 years, it takes away from your style of coaching. You know,
It
if you
does.
one of those up in the face disciplinarian type guys, shit, you could lose your whole team.
Oh, no question about it. No question. And I think that's happened. You don't see very many of those uh, militant coaches anymore. You know, I've always said this: the time was going to come when a coach was going to get accused of bullying the players that he coaches. And
Wow.
when I say, I think it's one thing to bully. I mean, really bullying a kid. I think that person should be held responsible and accountable. But then I think it's another thing to holding the kid responsible for things that he's not doing well and trying to help him to get better at that. And some kids see that style of coaching as bullying. And
Right.
those are the kids, I think, that when they get in that transfer portal because of that, they end up going from the frying pan to the fire because that type of
Mhm.
person really is just introducing you to life in general.
Right, right, right. Let me lay this on my audience, and I'm gonna let you comment on it too. Is everybody is 1A, 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 and they don't understand the portal kind of helps those kids who choose 1A because on the 1A level, they don't care. They don't care if you go basically if you go to school, that as long as you can play, and then they play political games up there. Just like they choose who's the head coach. If I'm giving the school money, then I want to see such and such play. So some of these kids want to run up there to the 1As, especially if you are out of town kid. You know what I mean? And
Right.
you're not from that state. That state school is going to be obligated to play that state player, whether you better than him or not. You got to be so much better than him. So so you have coaches who, just like you were just talking about, bullying kids, playing head games with kids. You know, I've coached at the University of Cincinnati, so I've seen that action before, where they send the kid or trying to find out, well, we need to put a tag on him to let him know why he don't start or why he don't play, and that's those head games. And thank God for the portal that a kid ain't got to be putting up that he can run on out.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree 100%.
So what's next for Coach Rich Freeman? Tell us what you're doing now and what's gonna be next.
Well, I'm helping out with a local high school, and I chose not to, leave the state. I don't really don't want to leave the city because my son and my daughter are in their junior and sophomore year, and I've been pretty much mentoring other people's children. I wanted to kind of be close where I could mentor my own kids. And so I'm still coaching just to stay sharp and to stay fresh and to try to use what I feel like is a gift that the good Lord gave me to pass on to, some local high school kids. And that's what I'm doing right now. And, in a couple of years, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. I know you're a defensive specialist. Are you coaching the defense over there or
I am. I
coordinating?
am. I'm defensive coordinating, and I'm right here at local high school, uh, Metropolitan Atlanta, Drew High School, Metropolitan Atlanta. And I just
Yeah,
took this
yeah,
job actually about a month ago.
yeah. Are you kind of enjoying now the? I guess when you step back a little bit, and you ain't the head man, and everybody ain't pulling you right and left, and
Yes,
you
sir.
ain't have to make those hard decisions. You know
Yeah.
where you at health
It's
wise
a it's a yeah. It's I tell you what I was gonna take the year off. I was gonna just at Morehouse. I tell you I can't be more thankful to the way that turned out. Not very often do you stay in one place for 16 years. I was able to do that and raise my kids on campus, and they took care of me on my way out. And so I was going to take a year off, but sitting around the house, I said, "Nah, this is really not me. I need to be out doing something." And so I got a call from a good buddy of mine, a guy that runs the Minority Coaches Association now here in Atlanta, Ahmad Tinker, and he said, "Hey, Free, you can help out a good friend of mine over at Drew High School." And I said, "Hey,
right,
why not?
right,
Let me put the old whistle back around my neck." And it is a breath of fresh air, Coach Cole,
yeah,
to not have to strategize for travel or try to find nickels and dimes to try to hire a coach or try to put a strength coach or strength program together. It's a new challenge for me. All I have to do now is just stop the run. you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well, Coach, I'm going to take you back in the times. Young
okay.
Freeman at Tennessee State. And before we got there, y'all had the towels out the helmet, the wristbands, the neck bands, one sock up, one sock down.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
undisciplined Atlanta guy, man.
So, you
Undisciplined
know,
Atlanta guy.
you, George, Durrell Williams, y'all just knew y'all had it all together.
Yep.
Did you
And
ever sit
so,
and think as a player that, damn, why are we losing? You got some good
right,
players or
right.
whatever's on your mind, Coach.
Let me say something about those experiences. We thought you guys was just so wrong, but when y'all with that money shows for image and all that, and I learned over the years, man, you dress the way you would like to be addressed, and that was something
Mm,
that I carried
mm,
with
mm.
me over the years. That's all y'all was basically saying in a nutshell. Your image, man, that's the first thing that people are gonna see, and I think what that did after we had the successes that we had, what that did was it helped me to not be so judgmental of the next guy because I kind of clung to, you try to recruit yourself. People alive, they tell you anything different. You try to recruit yourself, that inner city kid that come from a one parent family and not knocking a two parent family. You just want to help you try to help that kid out because you know it wasn't two parents that helped stem in the right direction. And so when that kid makes mistakes in your program, instead of closing the door upon them, all I could do was remember myself. I mean, because you guys could have easily closed the door upon me several times. Yourself, LC, had the privilege of working as an assistant for both of you guys. Man, I could have been fired. Could have been excommunicated on several occasions. But out of grace and, just, being a male figure and tutoring and all that, that helped mold me and shape me into the person that I am today. And I made no mistake about it. I kept every year of what we did. I kept the program the same way we built that program at Tennessee State. I kept it the same way. I changed a little bit over time, with certain rules, but the foundation, the methodology behind the way I thought, that never changed.
Yeah, because I could see every time you've seen a Morehouse team, they look like what you expect from a Morehouse man. Clean, sharp, everybody dressed the same. Nobody is coming out of the crowd and trying to do the funky chicken and one sock down, one side. You've always had those guys clean, So, let's go back at Tennessee State. Yeah, the pledging of players, and then what made you get into coaching? Was it that you wanted to work on your master's? Were you finishing up your grad? What made you come to LC and get into coaching, or did he come to you?
Well, it was kind of the good Lord orchestrated that encounter. Let me go way back. In high school, the male figures I looked up to, as mentioned, I was raised in one parent home. And so I looked up to all my uncles because they were football players, and I looked up to my high school coach, because I spent every waking moment with him. So he became like the dominant male figure in my life. And I saw him doing well. I saw him, leading a family. A family man. He had a beautiful wife and kids that were doing good off in school. And so I kind of used him. That was a person I kind of modeled myself behind. So in the back of my mind, every kid has this dream of playing the NFL. That went by extremely fast when I saw Ray Lewis flying around out there. I said, no, I can't run like that. So I started shifting about my sophomore, junior year. I started coaching intramural basketball, and we had success. And in the back of my mind, I always modeled myself behind my high school coach. And so fast forward to the end of my senior year, you just on this island by yourself where you don't know what you're going to do with your life. And, man, I just happened to see Coach LC, and what he was doing was just watching tape, watching film on our players so he can kind of get an idea of the talent level that he's inheriting. And he would always tease me, said, man, are you that guy that played with reckless abandon, just jumping over lead blockers and making? He said, man, I like the way you played. And that's how that encounter started. I basically asked him, say, hey, Coach, I love to stay around and clean the floor for you, whatever you need me to do. I just want to be around football. And LC Cole basically introduced me to my career. Man, I'm indebted to him. And not only that, he gave me more than just a coaching job. Man, he taught me how to be professional. He taught me how to dress. He taught me how to hold a room. Gave me career. And I got that not only from LC, I got it from you and some of the other coaches as well. Just being able to see how people can come in and men can come in and capture a room and command respect with the presence that they brought. And so it's a lot more than just getting introduced into coaching. Man, I got introduced to what I felt like was the top of the line, and I'm forever indebted for that.
Yeah. You I remember you was a young coach, and we had you over here on defense, and then some took place, and I was like, no, LC, no, we You know,
Yeah,
you got to stay
I was
with
on
him.
offense.
And then we
He
moved
put
you over on offense, and I
offense, and
took
you
you
had
to
me over there
30.
for 10 minutes. That's the quickest I've ever been fired before. I tell people that story all the time. I coached offense for Johnnie Cole for about maybe 5 days, and he let me go just as quick as he hired me. And then LC put me back on the defensive side of the ball, and I kind of found my passion, found my niche, if you will.
Coach, you was what, 22 years old? You know, you still had a
22
couple.
still.
You still had a couple runs in you. You
Yeah,
know,
I had some runs.
and then we meeting all day, and you know,
Yeah,
all night, and trying to
that's
get the
right. That's
program
right.
turned, and then
That's
you had to
right.
look at your friends. Because I'm gonna tell you, and you have to do the same thing I done. I remember when I was a young coach, and Lionel Taylor came in, and I was standing in the dormitory, and I had my music blasting, and we in there, and I'm with some of the players, and we doing our thing, and he busts through that door, and he said, "Let me tell you something. You're gonna decide whether you're gonna be a coach or you're gonna be a player." And that day, I decided, yeah. And it's tough. It's tough on
It
the guy that's
is.
still in
It is.
school, and then now you turn around and you're coaching guys, you're coaching your friends, you know.
Yeah.
And so you got to decide. And I think sometimes people struggle with that.
And you know, you're gonna lose. You're not gonna lose your real friends. You know, and really,
Right.
I'll be honest with you, you're really not gonna lose very much of anybody. You'll lose them, you know, for temporarily. You know, but those guys understand after a while, man. This is a job, and you're doing it for the greater cause. You know,
Right.
you're not gonna sit here, man, and just enable people to do things the wrong way. And sometimes that's and to me, to be honest with you, the wrong friends. If you got a friend that's enabling you to do something that you're not supposed to be doing, where it's not going to reap you no benefits, it's different between having fun and adapting to a lifestyle that's going to be a detriment to you. Then that's not a friend. And so the guys that I had to provide the discipline that was coming down from the top, from our head coach.
Right.
The guys that I played with, ran the streets with, had a good time with, you know, those guys, they didn't understand right away, but they were able to respect that. And years later, they definitely understood, and they were thankful for it.
Yeah.
They were thankful.
That's what I was just going to ask you. Okay, now your career is over. You're in the coaching. You got this new coaching staff coming in, led by LC. And you know, our first 2 years, you know, we struggled, and some of it was just, especially the first year, was about struggling for the change of the young men to start maturing up and understanding that this game can treat you for life. When did you realize, from the 2 years we struggled and the 2 years we won back-to-back championships or Ohio Valley Conference championships, and even knowing, and didn't know at the time, that we were the only black football team to ever win all white conference? You going from player, I'm putting you in this picture. You going from player, wilding out, to now coaching, not only changing yourself, like you were just saying, convincing your guys. When did you say, this is the right way? I see the change coming. We going places.
I'll just be honest with you. I saw it off the top. I knew it was changed off the top from the time LC stepped onto that campus, and the way, and I knew it would take a little while, because I think the culture was entrenched with doing things a certain way. So I thought LC was fighting against a lot more than just the student athletes. You know, he's fighting against he had several different paradigms that he had to fight against. So you had the culture, the winning tradition that was no more, because times had changed and moved to a different landscape in collegiate athletics. So he had to fight against that 10-0, 11-0 tradition of the late 70s, 60s, all that. He had to fight against that way of doing things. He had to fight against the recently unsuccessful 10 to 12 years of unsuccessful football, which was established into the minds, the psyches of the psyche of the players. Then he had to fight against, I think, the administration, who were probably one of the last. I don't want to bash my institution because I love them, but just from being on the inside, not on the outside looking in, from being on the inside looking out, we were one of the last institutions to make the new age commitment to football. And I felt like we should have been with our school sitting on John A. Merritt Boulevard. That the school sits on a street named after the highest renowned coach, one of the highest renowned coach in college football history. I would have thought we'd have understood and catch it faster. We should have been the first one to, to make those contributions. So he had to fight against that, and he had to fight against, the fact that we were the only HBCU in an all white conference. So right. It was the way I think we did. I think we were not one day we gonna be good. We were a day one. We took it that one day at a time. And so each day that we woke up, we were thinking to ourselves, hey, let's get a win for this day. But at the same time, we had the presence of mind of having programming together to have a 6 and 12 month calendar to know what we were doing down the line. So every win that we got on a daily basis, and we got those wins, those small wins, they started leading to victories, more victories in year 2, year 3. It looked dismal starting off. Then we just caught fire and just ran the table. And then it was on pilot. After we did our most work in year 3. And then year 4, man, we were on cruise control in year 4.
Yeah.
That was cruise control.
Yeah. We were just still fighting the outside issue. The nucleus was there. So as a coach, when did you decide saying to yourself, when I get mine, I got a system I believe or I'm gonna carry this with me?
Right. It was really after year 3. After year 3, I saw the way that we did things. I saw how we engaged the community. I did all that,
Right. At Morehouse.
Yes, as a spiritual guy, people always talk about hanging out in the wrong environments and all that. As a spiritual guy, man, the church is for sick folks. So you got to be able to take your ministry everywhere that you can to try to get folks and teach them the good news. Right. So what I learned at Tennessee State, Alabama State, man, we got in the mud with the lowest man on the totem pole in the community. And we also were able to rub elbows with the elite, but we treated both of them the same. Treated both of them the same. And so that's what I did. I established relationships just like I learned from you guys. I went in the hood. I went to every bar that you can go to and shook hands. I was still at work now. Still at work. And I was shaking hands. I went to every church you can go to, So I got the saints who in many cases, the saints are worse than the doggone sinners. I came to find out over the years. But, all those people came together. And I dare to say that bought me an additional 10 years working at Morehouse. Being able to have those relationships,
Yeah. Now, me and you got something in common. The TSU, of course, Tennessee State was established before Texas Southern. And so I got to say, the thing about Tennessee State, and you can answer this question, why haven't they hired a Tennessee State guy off the 98, 99 team? But not a coach, I think it's one player. I think, I'm talking about plays free safety. Why haven't they bought into that 98, 99 national championship team. You got guys out there that are lawyers, Marvin doctors. You got coaches. You got great. You had Leon Murray. You got all these great guys. Benny Thompson. You got Michael Thompson out there. They hadn't brought not and they have not embraced that 98, 99. It's like it never happened. What is your thoughts?
That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. When you look at just major college football right now, you can take we can take it on the big stage. You look at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. I mean, those guys, they can't coach anywhere. I'm talking about players, coordinators, assistant coaches. All they have to do is coach somewhere for 6 months, and they'll end up going and getting head coaching jobs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't. Maybe. I
You
don't know.
know,
Maybe.
you know, I'm promoting you now. I'm promoting you because if that job opened up again, you would be a damn classic. It would be putting a square into a square. It would be great.
Well, I had a chance to interview I was a finalist for the job when they hired Coach Reed. That hire obviously was a good hire. You know, he was able to put together a successful 10-year stint, but I didn't have an opportunity to apply for the job after he left. You know, and I'm not saying that I was owed anything. I just think they had already had in mind that they wanted to hire somebody. I felt like, and that's the direction that they went in the same direction that Jackson State went into the NFL guy, which is, Deion did an awesome job. I don't blame him one bit. That brings revenue to your campus. But I really think, you got your Jimmy Smiths out there.
Yeah.
You got all kinds of
Toriano Morgan. He's
Toriano Morgan, who I had the displeasure of losing to twice. He's done.
Chris Perkins.
Chris Perkins. He's done a yeoman job. It's plenty names that can be brought up that could lead our institution into a positive direction.
Lawrence Smith is a state champion, high school state champion.
I don't know outside of Coach Reese. They did it with Coach Reese and Coach Reed wasn't a part of the 99, 98, 99, but Coach Reese, I guess. So I don't know, and I can't answer that for you. That's a mystery question. I mean, that question has a mystery answer to it, I should say.
Right. And when I read up on them and where they are now, they still don't ever mention the 98 and 99 team. As a matter of fact, the 98, 99 team is out in Washington. We're working on some things behind the scene, me, LC, Leonard Moon. We're working on some things about trying to put together a 30 for 30 about those 4 years.
I don't understand that. That's history, man. I mean, that you talk about a chain that was broken, man. When we beat Eastern Kentucky, now that's when I really, going way back to when you asked that question of when did I feel like we had the sauce, so to speak, to go into Roy Kidd Stadium, and beat Eastern Kentucky the way we beat them by 2-3 touchdowns. I forget what it was.
Yeah.
With people calling you the N word and spitting on your players on the sideline during the game. For us to overcome something like that, you would think that would be lauded on every occasion, on every chance that we get the opportunity. We should highlight that. And I don't know if there's anybody left that was in our circle that know what we went through, that has a voice. But whoever was in those locker rooms, you best believe we'll speak favorably of that 96 through 99 run that we had.
Yeah. All right. When we moving forward, you take the job at Alabama State with LC, defense coordinator. We got there and we hit the ground running. 2 back-to-back East SWAC championship, and also losing the SWAC championship our second year. That experience as the coordinator, did you feel comfortable where you felt you were in your professional? Because you only had been then coaching what, 4 years?
4 years. 4 years. You talk about
so you was on a fast pace.
Yeah, LC, man.
Go ahead, Coach.
LC put me out front. You know, that's the thing I liked about Coach Cole. He put you out front. Now it's up to you to be ready. but he's definitely gonna put you out front, and he did. I was only 24, 25 years old. And you know, at the time, on paper, that was probably. Now, of course, I had LC behind me. You know, as a defensive guy, he just put me out front. But I was the youngest coordinator by title in the country.
I just thought about that as I'm sitting here today, and I'm right next to you. I just thought you've been on a fast track of being a head coach, and I guess a lot of that is due to your success at Morehouse. You've been to a defense coordinator at 24, left Alabama State, and then came with me to Lane. I know you had a little something to be a defensive coordinator, and our success at Lane was off the chart.
Oh my God, top 25 from 0-11, and listen, not just 0-11 now. 0-11 over multiple years. That had become the standard at Lane. Hey man, look, y'all didn't go 0-11 yet. Because it's coming now. You know,
even at Alabama State, when we took over that program, they hadn't had a winning season in 9 years. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that now.
Yeah, they hadn't had a winning season in 9 years.
Wow.
You know,
wow.
And you were able to come in and establish yourself as a defensive coordinator. You know, what was that like, you know, coming in at 24 years old? And I think Rock kind of helped as well.
He did. He did. You know, for him to come in from A&M, but I think we were sowing on fertile ground because those kids wanted to win really bad. You know, and that started the MO for me in my career. You know, when because that happened at Tennessee State. My team was 2-9, and you guys came in and we hit the ground running from day one. And the same thing at Alabama State. It was a hungry, young Rich Freeman there, but his name was Alfonso Walker. You know, right. He was hungry. He didn't want to continue to lose, and you know, it was fertile ground for us to install our philosophies into, and you know, that voice that was communicated from coach to player was also communicated in the locker room from player to player, and it caught fire a lot faster at Alabama State, and we won off the top.
Right.
You know, so it didn't take as long as it did with Tennessee State. So that was great. Those were great experiences.
Yeah. Well, you know, on the negative side of that, and I guess I have to talk about it, is that you got caught up in the Cole Boys NCAA deal, and I, you know, we both really got caught up in it. I don't know if they called us the Big T, the Big Three,
the Big Three,
the Big Three. And that was a real scare in your career. I remember me and you talking about that.
It was, especially with me being so young. You know?
Right. And shoot, Coach, I'm sitting there at 35. You know, not as old as myself, and looking at your career and people throwing darts, not people, but throwing darts behind the scenes and putting you into stuff that I didn't even have a violation. You know, at Alabama State. You know, it was just, I was caught up because my last name was Cole, you know.
Right.
And I hated it for you because, I mean, because you were like a brother to us. Because if you see one of us, you were right there.
Oh, ain't no question.
When you think about that, what's and that affects me and my brother today. with
It
all
does.
these innuendos, nobody
Right,
talks about the great things that we do. It's always,
right,
oh
right,
man, stay away from those guys. You
right,
know.
right. Well, I think those were just some tough times, man. That I think that we had to, from my standpoint, you know how they say you don't win and lose, you win or either you learn. So those are just some learning lessons that I felt like I had to go through, and regardless of how it happened, whether it was true or not, you and I know we know the story behind. We know what our ministry was. We know what our main objective was with those young men, and the young men know, and I think they appreciate what we did with them. And so, one of the things that I took away from that was just to try to make sure that I treat everybody around me, that work under me, treat them with as much respect as I can, knowing that that one person could be the person that could be saying something detrimental about me. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah. Oh,
So
I know.
all the people that's close to you, every time, all the people that worked with me that was close to me, I tried my best to treat them like I worked for them, as
Yeah.
opposed to like they worked for me. I was the servant for everybody on the campus at Morehouse.
Yeah.
Everybody. And somebody told me to do something, told me just like that, I would say yes, sir, and I would do it for them. Or I would say, hey, give me an opportunity to find out how to do it. So
Right.
sometimes you couldn't look at our program and see that I was in charge because I was a servant to everybody that I worked for. And I felt that by doing that, you may not rub that one person about who they are. You don't rub them the wrong way. I felt like we may have rubbed some of those persons the wrong way at Tennessee State and Alabama State, even without intentionally doing so.
Right.
You see where I'm coming from?
Right.
I felt like it may have been somebody, because you're right. It would violate. You know what a violation looked like. All you have to do is
Right.
turn the TV screen on Saturday at 12 o'clock. I won't call the names of the schools out, but they got these NFL players playing on their teams, and they lure them to their campus in some kind of way. Now those are violations.
Yeah. Yeah.
The things that we tried to do was we tried to make sure that kids were eating, kids that didn't come from anything. We tried to make sure they had a pack of Roman noodles to eat at night. Little things like that.
I know it was so silly. I remember one
Yeah,
time they were saying something about a Subway sandwich. Oh, they bought a Subway sandwich for a kid.
you know. I mean, we were trying to take care of kids like they were our own kids. We weren't trying to do things to gain a competitive advantage. I just think it was maybe those persons that were around our programs that, for whatever reason, we may have
The,
hurt them just by how we dealt with them. I don't know.
yeah.
I think. I think.
One of the sad things was, we gonna get back on the good stuff before we end up because you've been a hell of a coach, hell of an interviewer. Was the school paid an attorney to investigate your winning coach $300,000? HBCU school
Wow.
hired the lawyer and paid him $300,000 to try to find
Wow.
something on your losing coach.
Wow. Now I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, man, of course, you have to get that little tidbit in.
Wow.
But man, coach, you ever thinking about getting back into the college level? Maybe after, I remember you started off about your children,
Right.
but if the timing is right,
Well, and we're not, I'm not asinine to what's going on out there now in college football. Now, I love my kids and my family, but, if the right opportunity came available, if it made sense, then of course, I would, I'm not going to close the door on anything. I've interviewed for several high school head coaching jobs. I'll be honest with you, I interviewed for a couple of colleges. as an assistant coach for assistant coaching position. But I just decided not to take the job because I didn't want to leave my family. That didn't make sense, for me to leave and take a job. So
Right.
I was really close to taking another college job,
Right.
So there are opportunities out there, and I thank God for that. I thank God for people like you and people like Coach Cole and, the athletic director that hired me. It's people out there that think enough of you, that think enough, not just of your ability to coach football, but just your ability to be around their family, to be around their kids, their program. They trust you enough to give you an opportunity, So it's people out there that still believe in what we do, and at some point we'll be coaching again on the college level.
Yeah. Now, when I gotta say, because when I was in Atlanta, ran into some of our old players at Lane. Wasn't that one of some of the greatest? Well, to me, it was great experience. It was fun. It was watching the turnover so quickly, so fast. And
Wow.
I know you had to leave because you went from being a defensive coordinator, and it was time for you to be a head coach.
Right. It was bittersweet. I mean, I remember when we got our first win, and those kids, man, they couldn't wait to get back to the campus. I didn't have any idea that was a tradition to ring the bell every time you won. Yeah. And so they got back to the campus, man, and they rung that bell. Seemed like the whole city seemed like it was Christmas Eve. And old St. Nick was landing on the chimney, So
because 2 years in a row, we won 7 in a row, 7 straight wins.
Yeah, no question about it. No question. I thought we won 8. I thought we went 8-3.
Yeah, we did. We did.
So, and that was the top 25 year. And, like you say, the next year after I left, you guys were on cruise control. I remember watching you doing one of the games, and I don't think you called a single play. You looked like you were turning around, looking up in the stands, and I think you guys are beating Clark by like 2 or 3 touchdowns.
And that was the year that we were supposed to go to the Pioneer Bowl, and because we beat Clark and Tuskegee lost to Clark, but since we had Tuskegee at the end of the year, I shouldn't even have scheduled them.
Yeah.
And they end up beating us, and then they end up taking that. Yeah, that was a harsh time. But Coach, man, like I said, it's always been great to talk to you, man. You're like a brother to me. We used to live with each other, and we had a great time. I learned a lot from you as well. Hopefully,
I can't get up as early. Look, I can't get up as early as you can now. Good Lord, I don't miss that. Well, woo. You were one of the earliest risers in coaching history, man. We got away from that, Coach. That's one thing I didn't take with us. LC, man, y'all don't sleep.
You never know, Coach, man. We might get that spark going again, man. It would be great.
That would be a happy ending, That would be a happy ending to our career, man, to be able to pull that thing back together. And not only us, man, everybody, everybody that kind of started off on that original.
Yeah. I keep in touch with all those guys, man. But look, Coach, appreciate you, man. Thank you. Tell Kim and the kids I say hello. I'll be looking. We'll be in touch, and I wish the best for you. And you need to get back on the sideline because that's where you belong. You one of the longest head football coaches in Black college football and coaching period. You're a class act. You're a God-fearing man, a great father, and a great leader. And thank you for giving me your time.
Man, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, Coach. And same sentiments to you and to your family. God bless you, my brother. Okay.
All right. Well, there's the show. Again, Coach Richard Freeman, one of the longest standing head coaches in today's game, 16 years at Morehouse. I had a great opportunity to work with him and just not only being a teacher to him or a mentor to him or a role model, been a great friend. He's been a great friend to me. Again, Texas Southern, wish you well in NCAA tournament. Same time next year, same channel. If you feel yourself at the end of the rope, tie a knot, hold on tight, because ain't nobody bad like you.
It's Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. Today is Monday, March 13th, 2023. Number 1. Due to increased risk of crimes and reports confirming the concerns of travelers, the American government has advised against traveling to Mexico. The U.S. State Department has issued a do not travel warning for 6 parts of the country. In recent updates, the warnings were issued due to increased risk of crime and kidnapping, primarily as a result of drug cartel activity. Number 2. While reports indicate Donald Trump spent the weekend meeting with lawyers regarding a potential indictment coming out of a hush money investigation conducted by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, his former Vice President Mike Pence is calling out the old boss. Pence said President Trump was wrong. He had no right to overturn the election, and his reckless words endangered my family and everyone at the Capitol that day, referring to January 6, 2021. AP reported in the days leading up to that day, Donald Trump pressured Pence to overturn President Joe Biden's election victory as he presided over the ceremonial certification of the results. Number 3. Researchers have found long-term evidence that actively monitoring localized prostate cancer is a safe alternative to immediate surgery or radiation. The results, released Saturday, are encouraging for men who want to avoid treatment-related sexual and incontinence problems. The study directly compared the 3 approaches: surgery to remove tumors, radiation treatment, or monitoring. Most prostate cancer grows slowly, so it takes a number of years to look at the disease's outcomes. Number 4. 15-year-old African-American high school student Marissa Barnwell, a 9th grader at River Bluff High School in Lexington, South Carolina, was walking quietly to her class and decided not to stop walking to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. A teacher allegedly yelled at her, confronted her, and then pushed her against a wall nearby. After the incident, Barnwell was sent to the principal's office. Her parents have filed a lawsuit in federal court stating that their daughter's First Amendment and civil rights were violated. Number 5. The Bible is clear that God created all things and all people, that He is love and has agape love for all of us. For the individuals that are just God's children, He shows them an abundance of love as well through His grace and mercy, giving them opportunity after opportunity to follow Him. Read more about all of this in today's Ministry Monday column. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Always do the right thing, especially when no one else is looking. Join me today live on YouTube and Facebook at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, with social justice activist Coy Malone and comedians extraordinaire Dominique joining us, as well as comedian Huggy Lowdown. We will discuss today's top headlines and more. To subscribe to my free daily newsletter, please visit SybilWilkes.com. Be informed, be empowered.
When the man said that Sharifa Barksdale is on the verge, she's getting ready to set the world record. And I lost concentration and I followed that hurdle. I was devastated.
One of our hopes for the Olympic Games, Sharifa Barksdale from Tennessee, a fine intermediate hurdler, ranked 10th in the world at 400 meters.
Posición game ball de Canadá, dominando la prueba, y la estadounidense Sharifa Barksdale está en.
When I fell over that hurdle, it ended my career. And then all of a sudden, my coach grabs me by the throat. And I was going through some paperwork and seeing that he had spent 10 years in prison. And I was just like floored. It turned to domestic violence. I was terrified. So if I left, I don't know if I was going to die. My family didn't know if they was going to get a phone call to say that Sharifa was dead.
Hey, yeah, 10 radio. I said a vehicle took a shot at me. Southbound on East 95th.
Broke the U.S. record in the 400-meter hurdles. Represented the United States of America.
Imagine being on the biggest, fastest roller coaster that you have ever been on. That's the way my life was for 20 years. I never had no trouble out of her being what she wanted to be. But
because if this is what she wanted to be a runner, well, God bless her, and he did.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.